All right. Here we go. Welcome. It's Wealth Wednesday.
Hello,
All
hello,
right.
everyone.
Welcome. Hey, it's Wealth Wednesday. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here. All right. He is second. Everybody share this one out with your network. You'll be glad you did.
Yes, join in. It's gonna be a great time today.
Wealth Wednesday. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Wealth Wednesday. Live now. Welcome everybody. We got a few folks joining in. It's good to see everybody. Welcome. Hey, there we go. It's time for the live. Welcome everybody. Come on in. It's Wealth Wednesday. Wealth Wednesday. All right, we'll give everybody just another moment. Shout out to all my people who are joining.
Yes, hello,
Jackie,
everyone.
what's up? Glad you're here. Welcome.
Oh,
Hi,
hey,
Amanda. I see you. What's going on? Live. Share it with a friend. Don't want to miss it. All right. Welcome. I see you. All right. So we have the best Wealth Wednesday of all time.
It's so great that I'm speechless over here.
Okay. All right. So everybody, we about to kick this Wealth Wednesday off with what's known as the hardest, most amazing real estate investment company in the state of Kentucky, if not the Midwest as a whole. That's what I'm putting that in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
We got the real deal on here. We got Frank and Tommi Miller.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
What's up? Hey, it's been good talking to you all so far, and I'm glad that we get a chance to engage everybody into the conversation today.
Yes.
So, of course, we're going to be talking all things marriage and finances and how you can work together in business and how it's better together in business. And so we're going to be talking all through it, but hey, let's just kick it all off. We got to hear the real deal too. So y'all got to keep it hot for us, humble, open, and transparent.
Yes.
You on Wealth Wednesday, so here we go.
Okay.
So we want to know, how did y'all get married? Like, how did y'all meet? You know, like, well, tell us about that.
Well, we met in Indianapolis. That's where I'm from originally. So
shout out Indy.
Yeah, shout out Indy. I'm from the West Side. But we met through a mutual friend at a pub that I used to work at many months ago.
Yeah, so we've been together for 23 years now.
23 years.
23 years. Been together 23 years. So I was working at a company called DHL, and I transferred up to Indianapolis. When I transferred up there, we ended up meeting, and kind of everything started from there, basically.
It was okay, hold on. You just ended up meeting.
It's kind of like, one of those things when you first see that person, you're like, hey, I think that's the right one.
That was going to be my boyfriend. I knew that, right?
You said that's the one. Okay, so
and the good thing about it is I didn't know anything about her because I wasn't from Indianapolis. So next thing I saw her, and I was like, oh, she's got to be it.
It was like, they say, what is it? Love at first sight. It really was.
Ooh, for you too. Okay, so he wasn't just telling the fish story over here.
No.
So see, it's got to be mutual then, right?
Yeah. I guess things went pretty fast from the time we met up until now, really. Yep. I mean, everything just fell into place. So we lived up there during my pregnancy. Well, we got pregnant a few months later after we met.
Okay.
And so we lived up there for about 2 years. And then he wanted to start real estate. And so he knew that he knew the Louisville market a little bit at that time, not too much. But So he asked me if I would move, and I said, absolutely, let's go. So
Wow.
it was that easy. It was that easy because I've always wanted to kind of start fresh, start over. And that gave me the opportunity to kind of do something different with my life. So
okay, hold on, Tommy. I will tell you, this got to be love right here. So you had a DHL. He's like a delivery driver.
yes.
Okay, and then so y'all get together. You're so in love that he says he's going to do real estate, and you're just like, hey, let's move states and just go do it.
I mean, we were together for 2 years, but before he asked me that, but like we lived there for 2 years, then he wanted to move.
Oh man, this is love. This is love.
That is
It's either love or charm. I don't know which one it is.
I tricked him, so then he realized how I really was. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, so
basically we met, and then 2 years later, I talked her into moving back down here to Kentucky because I knew the market down here better because I was a delivery driver here for all these years. Yeah. So I kind of knew the zip codes, the areas, the town, and then once we got back down here and settled in. So basically, the way it worked though is we struggled. We lived in my mom and dad's basement for probably a year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we lived in my mom and dad's basement for a year. With the little boy, little kid then. Yeah. And then once we started doing our real estate kind of journey, then that's when we were able to kind of buy our first house, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bought our first house. Our older son had a lot of medical issues when he was younger, so we had a lot of medical bills, and so we just could not afford to really live on our own. So we lived with his parents for a little while, and there were trying times and great times. You know how it is when you live in-laws or even your parents for that matter. But we purchased our first home. We lived there for a couple of years, and then he found a foreclosure. So he bought a foreclosure, fixed it up, lived there for a couple of years, and we kind of followed that pattern for a couple of houses. So
okay.
Yeah, so it was like one of those standpoints where you buy something, then you get in there and you're working on it while you live there.
Yeah.
Like, so like when it's supposed to be 100% complete, but it's only 50% complete, and then she just goes along with it and says, "Okay, let's just do it. Let's move in."
You're right.
At the time, I wasn't in real estate. When I used to work for Brown Foreman when we first moved to Louisville, so I worked for about 8 years. Then they did some cutbacks, and I lost my job, so that kind of forced me into real estate with him.
Oh, that was probably the best cutbacks that ever happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of like one of those blessings that you hear about because we were both in the corporate world. I worked for DHL as a driver. She worked for Brown Foreman as a property manager, and then I guess it was kind of a godsend that they cut our jobs, laid us off. So basically, I was forced into doing real estate full time. Mm-hmm. And then once I was kind of pushed into it and forced. Then once it happened for me, I guess after a couple of years, 3 or 4 years, then she was able to kind of quit her job, but she kind of got laid off too and pushed out. Mm-hmm. So luckily, real estate worked out for us, and as a couple working hand in hand together, that's one of the most blessings that it's ever happened to us.
Oh man. Oh, you're talking real good right there with that. All right. So hold on. Let's go back to that moment though, that decision point. So like that point when you were just coming off a job, I know you was probably thinking about benefits. You were thinking about family. I know, you were talking about the medical part. Like how tell us about that decision. I know it wasn't an easy one. Like what made you make that leap and work together?
Well, so when I lost my job, I actually got hired on by a law firm, like, I don't know, a week later. And me and Frank just kind of sat and talked, and he's like, well, what do you really want to do? And I was like, I really just want to be here with the kids. I want to be able to take them to school. I want to pick them up. And that's really what I want to do. So he actually had me call them and tell them that I decided not to take the job after I already took the job. So I had to call and tell them that I was not going to take the job at that point. So that's when I decided. And that was what the hard part was medical insurance. Because at that time we had Blake, and Blake has special needs, as you know. So we were like, oh my gosh, insurance is going to be so expensive and this and that. And that kind of is why I still had a job, was because of the insurance. I was kind of working just for insurance, and we just got smart about it. And we just got private insurance. And really people think, oh, we can't get private insurance. Yes, you can. And it's really not that, it's not this right. huge amount. Yes, it's more expensive, but you know, you get to stay home with your kids versus a little bit more expensive insurance. It just made sense for us.
Yeah, and you know, we sat there and we discussed it as a family, and we talked about it and prayed about it. So, you know, the thing about it is that ultimately she wanted to stay home with the kids because of the conditions of, you know, of the kids that we had. So ultimately, it just made us kind of, I guess, work harder at fulfilling the goals that we needed to make, so that way she could be in the position that she could be in.
Wow.
Yeah. I would definitely say y'all had a very strong why of why real estate is working for y'all and worked for you, and that was your choice.
Yeah. I know that's one thing that I, you know, consistently hear from both of you is like, you know, having that strong why, having that thing that really drives you. So I mean, that's it right there. And so that's a big decision, big leap. Now early on when you all were working together, all right, what was that like when you were transitioning from, you know, one kind of Frank primarily there, you working kind of 9 to 5. So when you first got together, working together, like tell us about some of those times.
I mean, we had some definite challenges. I mean, there's rewards and there's challenges, you know, that come along with everything. But Frank was kind of set in his ways because he had kind of done the real estate thing on his own, right? Like I worried about my job, he worried about his. And he had a hard time letting go of some things to allow me to help him because he was used to doing everything on his own. So I think just kind of figuring out what I could do to help him was a big deal. That's kind of where we started. So like I started doing stuff with the tenants and invoicing. That's how I kind of got my start because I was just trying to get some work off of his plate. Because at that point we had like 3 businesses, I think. And so he was just really busy. So I tried to do some property management, things like that for him for probably up until 2017. That's when we started to believe. But so in the beginning, I lost my job in 2012. So I just did some part-time work for him for those years until Believe came along, and then I started working more full-time.
But let me tell you this, when she came on board full-time, oh my gosh, I wish we'd have done that 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. Because working together and then her being able to take the load off too, you know, to have that 50-50 in the real estate business, you know, because the thing about it is that, you know, when you talk about real estate, if your partner or your mate's not in the kind of real estate field,
right?
You kind of like when I'm talking about something, she's just like,
And that's how it was. Like when I mean, that's really how it was when he would talk. I would kind of just be lost, like looking at him, you know. So this was, you know, when I worked my full-time job. Not necessarily lost, but you know, it would be like, oh, here he's talking about real estate again, right?
Right.
Something else, but that was his passion. That's what he loved, and then I discovered I loved it too. So
yeah, it's kind of rubbed off on her now. So the cool thing about it is that, you know, now seeing her in the business and, you know, hand in hand walking together, I mean, it's just amazing. Kind of like, you know, where we can go now. It's kind of like we're unstoppable, right?
Right.
Oh man, that's unstoppable teams right there. Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. That really is a good story. You know, it reminds me a lot, you know, of our story, you know, because it's like you kind of come on, you got one person who's a little bit more ahead in the area. And then it's like, well, you know, and then I'm still kind of tight with a lot of different stuff because I'm more kind of controlling, dominant personality in the group anyway. And then it's like I want to be helped, but then it's just not all the way perfect. And I'm like, oh snap, you know, you're not doing it right. Well, I'm helping you.
So we understand that.
Yeah, there's some definite push-pull, but you know, the great thing about it is that I would never change. I wouldn't go back and change anything because, you know, from where we started and compared to where we're at now, I think this has built our relationship just 10 times over.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely.
It definitely makes it stronger. It, you know, those challenges makes you stronger, shows you how much you can endure. And, you know, just being in a relationship, you know, it tests. There's some tests, but it's worth it though, because it's better when you're doing it together.
Yeah. What like, you know, what people don't realize, I don't think, is like in the beginning is like, you know, the tough times, right? You know, when you first, you know, decide to maybe work hand in hand together for, you know, the first couple of years or the year. But, you know, after that, it's kind of smooth sailing because then you're basically testing each other's boundaries, kind of seeing where you're at. And then, once you get going, it's nonstop.
Yeah. I think a good key to what, just to kind of piggyback off what he's saying, is like, each other's strengths and weaknesses, right? So like I have my strengths and he has his, and we kind of stay out of each other's way when it comes to those strengths, right? So like he's a phenomenal speaker, he does great presentations, and I prefer to kind of stay in the back, you know what I mean? So like we complement each other in that, where we can support each other. Like I support what he does, he supports what I do, and that's how we were able to make it work really well.
I like that.
Just to let you guys know, this is a first, because no one knows our full background story.
No.
So
really?
So we're coming on here telling you guys all the good stuff.
Right.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, this is a Marvin Pop Millionaire marriage moment. Oh, this is awesome. Thank y'all for being so humble and just open and transparent.
Yeah, that you
I'm loving your story.
That you feel so open and able to share with us, and so everybody who's been like, that's amazing.
Yeah, this is. I'm really.
Yeah.
We really do feel honored.
That's how much we care about you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We appreciate
it. That.
Yeah, you should. This story is just, once again, it's relatable.
It is.
We just kind of hear is that, you can start and then you keep growing into it, and, you keep getting better, it gets smoother. And then, even being able to reap the many benefits of it over time.
Right. And it's inspiring too, because, there are other couples who want to be out there and be able to work together. And like, if we are so different, is it possible? And you're like, it is possible. So I have a question.
Yeah.
So how do you all like balance this, because you do work together? So how do you have a balance between your personal life and your business life, especially since you're all doing it together, both of them together? So how is that balance?
I think the best way I personally can describe it is like a relationship. People think it's supposed to be 50-50, but when you work together and you're living, you have your personal life as well. Some days it's going to be 60-40. Some days it's going to be 70-30. Some days it might be 55-45. And what that means is one of the partners or spouses will have more workload that day, right? And that's okay, because it's a give and take. Some days my days are going to be a little harder than his, and we, we feed off of each other. I help him, he helps me. We write a calendar on Sundays, we write a calendar for the week of like who's going to take Blake, or who's going to take him to this or that or whatever. And so we just really try to be as focused and prepared as it possibly can be. But that give and take, that 50-50, it's not a 50-50 partnership. It's just not. Some days it might be. But most days it's going to be I give a little bit more at home.
Yeah.
Or he gives a little more in business, vice versa, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I haven't seen 50-50 yet.
No,
I ain't seen it yet either. So I'm looking for it.
I think too, the thing about it for me is what I had to kind of get over is that being a full-time real estate investor and being full-time dad and being full-time family in the business, that I had to make a decision where, I think when I first started out, some of the most important things that other investors told me or other mentors told me is that always answer your phone, always have the phone with you.
Right.
And I'm sitting there thinking about this for a second. I'm like, well, that's not me. I don't want to do that. Right. So once I got to the point where I was able to stop answering the phone at 8 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock at night, and I shut it off at a certain time, then I think that's when the family dynamic started getting better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like that. You
got
to
for us, family first, no matter
family
what.
First.
Family comes before anything.
I love that how you said that. Matter of fact, you might have to run that by us again. I don't want anybody to miss that. Right. So you said that on Sunday, on the quiet day of the week, that you all stop, you sit together, you have a conversation, basically a meeting of as a couple, and then you really plan out your week and the things that are most important. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, let me tell you about the planner she has sitting on our table.
I have a planner, and obviously it's a calendar, and we put everything in there, from who's picking Blake up, who's he has some medical things, he gets allergy shots, he has appointments, all these other things that we have to do during our work week that has to be scheduled, and he has people that come to the house, and anyway, our schedule is probably a lot different than everybody else's, but we just plan for the week. Like, oh, what days we're gonna be in the office together, what days we're not. Again, who's picking and taking. Blake goes to a private school, so we have to pick him up and take him every day. Who's going to be working with our assistant and helping get things together. We're going to be sending this email out on Tuesday, Thursday, just like literally planning the whole week and what I need from him, what he needs from me, so that there is no confusion during that Monday through Friday, because it's so busy. Wow. If you don't have a plan, then you're going to fail.
Oh man, if you don't have a plan, you're gonna fail. That was a bar. That was worth the whole price of admission for everybody who got on here.
Right.
That's the gem. Yeah. It's like communication. One thing that we teach when we do our boot camps and stuff is about having morning meetings. And one of those things is like taking 15 minutes out with a real agenda and really talking through your day, your calendar, but also sharing some affirmations, making sure that all minds are clear, you're organized. It just makes the rest of the day go well. But I like that about the week. Now, that's some serious stuff right there. We might have to get that weekly meeting going. I think we might have added something to our toolbox.
Right.
And the great thing too is that as long as we're all on the same page, everything works out at the end. Because some days, especially being in real estate, some days we have closings that pop up 24, 48 hours ahead of time. Mm-hmm. So as long as you integrate your family and your kids into that, and I see you guys do a great job of that all the time. So for instance, like when you're going to closings, you have your kids show up at the closings with you. Yeah. So, always that you're intertwining the family together so they see basically what's going on behind the scenes as well.
I like that. I'm glad you started talking about family. So, that's kind of where I was going. It was like, working together. Like, what's some of the benefits that it's been for your family? Obviously, you can spend more time together like that. But what are some of the other benefits from the real estate and working in business together has it been for your family?
Just having mom and dad home for dinner every night, right? That's a huge thing. We sit down and we have dinner every single night. My older son even says, why do we have to eat at 5:30 every night? And I'm like, because that's what we're doing, right? We're going to eat together 5:30 every night, right? I don't know why it's 5:30, but that's what we do. It's just the freedom aspect, right? Like we have more flexibility, more freedom to be able to do the things we need to do with our kids and make them priority, because they've always been a priority. And just like here, what we do in real estate is essentially at the end of the day for our children. Yeah. So that's what I think keeps us going even on those really, really hard days, is just having something for them when we're gone, and they take over our portfolio and have this house here in Florida that's going to be theirs, right? Like we're doing all of this so they
can have a better life,
and they won't have to go through all the struggles and the hiccups and everything that we've had to do.
Yeah, because we're all in the same boat together. So like for instance, we didn't come from money. We had to struggle in the beginning, and it's all about generational wealth, right?
Right.
So trying to get everybody on the same page, trying to help each other out. And the thing about it is that what we love about this now is that we have so much more time and flexibility. Because I'll tell you, when I was working at DHL, I loved working a 9 to 5, if you want to call it that, because I was going in at 7 a.m. and coming and getting off at 7 p.m. And then when I get home at 8 o'clock at night, having dinner, and then sitting down and having like an hour and a half with the kids. So once I was able to get out of that position, the flexibility and the freedom, that was so much more worth it.
Right. Yeah. When I first met Frank, I was working 3 jobs.
Oh wow. Goodness.
Even when I was pregnant with our first son, I was working 2 jobs. So it's we definitely had to work ourselves to where we are today. And I don't know if I even answered your question fully.
No, you really did. You did.
Okay.
That talked about the benefits of it, but it's like that flexibility, that time freedom. It's just there's nothing. It's hard to put it into words.
It really is.
It's like a psychological safety that you have too. But it's also some challenges that go along with that. So like the pressure of being an entrepreneur, checks coming and going, cash flow, ebbs and flows, things that go according to plan, don't go according to plan. Like how do y'all work through the challenges that come along with this as a couple?
We've definitely been through some tough periods in real estate. We were
so like, we went through some tough times. A lot of people haven't been around or haven't heard about. So we survived the 2008, 2009 crash of real estate, which is, one of the most epic things that we've been through. Yep. But, the thing about it is like just really with our faith and believing. And, the thing about it is that if it wasn't for us having a strong relationship, I don't think we would have made it.
No.
Right. Wow.
I mean,
wow.
We struggled back then. I mean, we were literally writing down our bills and thinking about what we could eliminate. And, our older son he was in private schooling, and we were like, we're going to have to take him out. And so we're sitting here thinking, what can we do so that we can still keep everything intact? We might lose everything, right? Like, I was scared to death. I remember you told me to be open and honest. This is silly, but I was getting my nails done. I remember, and the TV was talking about how the market was crashing, and I literally texted. I'm like, I don't think I should be getting my nails done, right? Like, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be here. But just stuff like that, and it was tough, but we got through it, and we were stronger because of it.
I think what a lot of people, what you probably need to do to get past those scenarios or get past that vision is that your first couple years is going to be rough as an entrepreneur, no matter if you're in a relationship or your spouse is going to work with you or not. But those first couple years, I mean, once you get past that, and then you can set some short-term and long-term goals, I think it's kind of smooth sailing after that. I mean, just watch these mom and pop guys right here. I mean, they're doing it, Sam.
Yep.
Hey, well, we certainly do relate to the nail story. I can tell you, sure. We got this everything must go sale is what we call it.
Yes.
And so I can remember that I went to an absolute auction, and I don't know what I was thinking. One property was such a good deal. I went on ahead, raised my hand, and got another one.
Oh my
God!
goodness.
And we put the 10% down, and I was like, "Oh Lord, what did I just do?"
We got 30 days to get out.
So we started selling everything in the house.
Oh, you had a good deal, right? Did you get a good deal on it?
Oh yeah, we got a good deal.
But think about that in that situation. You laugh at it now, but if you never pulled that trigger and never jumped, who knows what would have happened, right? If you never would have bought that house, you might still be in the position you were back in the day.
Yeah, true indeed. I'm glad about it. I certainly am glad about it. But it was good to hear your story of resilience, and even though sometimes you get that the pressure comes to you, when you got your spouse and somebody you love working side by side, you find a way through it. I know for us, we still got moments where we get a little tiffy with each other, and sometimes you're working side by side. I mean, how do you draw that line between the bedroom and the boardroom, if you will, or like business and like what stays business and then what is just personal, or do you have a blend all the time?
So I'll take that one first. And mine's a real short answer. So basically what I've learned is since we've been working together full time, I try to just kind of be more laid back and just kind of let her run what she wants to run with. Because when I used to be the person that was more in control before she came on full time, right? And I didn't want to let anything go. So I'm at the point now where, it's like when I see her running with something, I don't try to jump in and kind of say, hey, won't we go this way, right? So it's kind of like we stay on separate paths, but at the very end, we meet in the middle. Does that make sense?
But the full answer is we keep business.
Okay.
We don't, like at dinner, our phones are on the counter. We don't have the phones at the table. If the phone's ringing, the phone's ringing. Unless it's something urgent that he knows that he has to answer, we don't answer. My mom calls on the phone. I don't answer. Like it's just, that's our time at home. And it didn't always used to be like that. Like we would have to do a last minute presentation on a Wednesday night for a Monday or a Thursday event and stuff like that. And so we just got to the point where we were like, enough's enough. Like business is 8 to 5, 9 to 5, 7 to 5, whatever. But at 5 o'clock, we're at home and it's our family and that's all that we're going to do.
Wow.
And it took a while to get to that, but we understood that it was beneficial for everybody.
Wow. Yeah. The thing about it is like the time that we actually spend together one-on-one, like sitting on the couch together, watching a movie or watching a show or something like that, it's just so more, appealing, obviously. And then taking that tenant call that comes in at 9 o'clock at night, that something's going on. And, and the thing about it too is that whenever I don't take those calls, I get more brownie points too, right?
Right. Hey, I know it.
Yeah.
I know it. I need mine too. I don't know about you, Frank. I love this. Has been an amazing conversation. So hold on, tell us about your coaching program, because I want to make sure that we get a chance that you get a chance to share about that. Not just tell us about what it is, what do you do, and then also tell about how people can get connected to it.
Okay. So the great thing about it is that, back in 2017, I was the local president of the local RIA group here. So being the president, being in front of a room of people like that, and after the meetings would be over, we'd have so many people come up to us and ask us, how we succeeded, how did we get to where we're at, and they would just want to know more and more. So kind of the light bulb went off with us, was like, okay, so we want to see more people succeed like we have, because believe it or not, there's so many people that come into these local RIA groups around town, and they show up there and they're just so scared and overwhelmed with this large crowd. They sit in the back of the room, or they go out and they try to pay for these coaching programs that are overseas or out on the West Coast that they're spending $40,000 and $50,000 on.
Right.
And the next thing you know, they just don't do anything. Yeah. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to impact other people's lives here locally and help other people get to a position where we are actually at today. So we started this program back in 2017 called Believe Investment Group. And, the name says itself right there. If you don't believe in yourself,
if
you don't believe in the process or believe in yourself, we can be there and handhold you and mentor you and train you, consult you. But ultimately, it's up to that person, right? Mm-hmm. So we started the program back in 2017. So basically what we do is we mentor, train, and consult people. We have like local bus tours around town. Mm-hmm. We do webinars kind of like similar like this. And then we have Saturday classroom sessions. But ultimately, we talk about anything investing in real estate. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, we just want to make sure that the mistakes that we made 20 years ago, that others today are not doing that.
We can teach you how to not make those mistakes.
Oh, that's good.
Scale faster than what we did. Really, is that's the goal. The goal is to help other people.
Yeah, because like I said,
plenty out there.
Because we've sat here and talked about this, right? And looking back when I was working at that company, working 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., coming home at night, it's like we want to see others be in a position where they have more time and more flexibility and more freedom for their families. That's good. That's the whole purpose, and the thing about it is that this takes a lot of our time up and effort, to pour this into other people. Oh, yeah. But it's so much more worth it once you see somebody out there, making it, and then next thing you know, 3 years later, they say, "Hey, I quit my 9 to 5."
Right.
Yeah.
Or we get a text saying, "Hey, I just closed on my first deal," or "I just closed on my 5th deal," or something like that. It's amazing to watch the students where they started and then where they end at at graduation. It's amazing. And the network that they develop with each other, because you've got 25 people who are different, who don't even know each other, come into one room and they become friends and lifelong friends, and they get to know each other, and it's really, really nice to see.
Wow.
Things all really, like, we teach everything real estate, but we also teach mindset, because if your mindset is not where it's supposed to be, nothing we teach you, you want to be able to go out and use it, right? So you got to have the mindset of, I'm ready, I want to do this, I'm just ready to continue to learn.
Yeah, because ultimately it's the motivation factor. Yeah. So basically, we build confidence in those individuals in the very beginning,
especially for those who didn't have it, right?
So once that 90 days is up or that 120 days is up, I mean, you would not believe these people think they can jump off the cliff.
Right?
And we're like, "Jump, go ahead."
And the great thing about it is that, some of the people that have come through our course that were so timid, so scared, so shy, I mean, after that course was over, I mean, they just made a total transformation. And it's amazing seeing that kind of stuff, because, we're the type of people that really want to see others succeed. And, I'm sure by you guys here talking to us and seeing how passionate we are about this, we're not there just for the money. We're not there just to, just to hang out with somebody for 90 days and be done with it. But
Right.
we ultimately, and, just truly want to see other people succeed.
And we develop relationships with the students as well, and that carry on, throughout. So.
Well, hey, the chat is blowing up about the bus tour.
Oh yeah.
I want to just highlight the bus tour myself.
Yes.
We love the bus tour.
Yes.
Anytime I can get on this bus tour, I want a bus tour.
Right.
And so
at the end of every class at graduation, he always says, tell me your name, what you liked about the class, and something else I can't remember, but everybody always says the ride-alongs. Because it's just invaluable. It really is. It's, you cannot learn that stuff if you're not out there in the field doing it.
Yeah, because think about this is like when you're on a bus full of 20, 25, 30 people that are all like-minded individuals that want to be ultimately at the same position in the next 3 to 5 years, right? So you all have something in common. And then plus you're meeting other friends, you're meeting individuals that way, but then we're out in the field actually walking deals and seeing from start to finish. The amazing thing about that is that I would say there's probably no other place that we know of locally that you can get something like that on the hands-on.
No, that's good. I love it. I love it. So how would somebody get associated? I know you got a class coming up starting soon. Tell us about the date, how they can get connected.
Yeah, so we have a class that's starting. This will actually believe number 8. So since 2017, we've had 7 classes. This will be our 8th class. We've had about 145, 150 students come through.
Wow.
We've had about a 90% success rate. And the way we look at that is 90% success rate. That means that people at least get their membership enrollment fee about 2 to 3 times over on their very first deal they get back.
Wow.
And, the cool thing about it is that with this being Believe 8, I think that this is going to be one of those classes that we already have plenty of people signed up. We probably have about 5 or 6 spots left. So we have about 5 or 6 spots left. And the crazy thing about it is that, once everybody gets in there and joins the class, it's one of those things after the 90 days is up, they're like, man, that went by way too fast.
Right. We have people texting us all the time. We miss you guys.
Right.
Right. Like, they don't want it to end, but he wants to know how they get connected with us.
So the best way to get connected to us is if you guys check out our website. It's believeinvestmentgroup.com. You can kind of scroll through the website there. But I actually will give out my phone number for you guys tonight. So just don't hit me up after 5 p.m. Okay.
Right. Hey, y'all better mark this down. Everybody, get your pens, get your pad ready.
Get your phone.
So it's 502-819-7400. So 502-819-7400. But if anybody wants to learn more about the class or wants to maybe take their investing to the next level, quicker and faster, and getting the on that short-term plan and getting it to a closer plan.
Financial freedom.
Yeah, to financial freedom. Just kind of go to our website at believeinvestmentgroup.com and you can basically find out a lot of stuff about us from there.
I love it. Y'all heard it. What a wonderful story. All right. So for a closing thought here, so as mentors and coaches, what piece of advice would you all give to married couples who were thinking about getting into real estate? If you had to give them a piece of advice, what would you give them?
I would probably give them a couple of pieces. One would be communication, right? So your communication with your spouse or partner has to be open and honest, no matter what, right? Like that's a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because as we work together, I'm going to be probably too honest with him, right? But that's okay, because that's how we have a strong relationship like that. But I would say communication, learning how your spouse likes to communicate. Like, for example, I like to talk on the phone. He likes to text, right? So we have to figure out during the day what's worth a call, what's worth a text, right? So I think that is a big thing. Leaning on each other, and that's the one good thing about working with your spouse is that you have someone to lean on. You have someone to ask advice to. You're not on your own. And trying to figure everything out by yourself. Like we can have a problem, we can figure it out together, right? It makes it a lot easier if 2 of us are working on something versus 1. And then that work-life balance. I think that's a big thing. You have to figure out what works best for your entire family, not just for you and your spouse, but what's going to work best for you, your spouse, and your children. So at the end of the day, everybody's happy, right? You don't want to work nonstop and not have any time for your kids and stuff like that. So I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, and everybody has like a different family dynamic, right? So you really just kind of got to set back and, like what we talked about, set back on a Sunday and figure out what the dynamic and what the goals look like for the family, and where does everybody want to be at in the next 3 or 5 years. So, you know, everybody has different goals, right? So write your goals down and try to help, you know, even though you're trying to hit your goals, try to help your spouse hit their goals as well.
And when they do, celebrate them. You don't have to celebrate your successes. And then when your partner succeeds on their own, celebrate that too. You know, it's together and it's separate. And when he speaks and I watch and I'm just like, wow, he did a phenomenal job, right? Like that's his success. And that I love to see him succeed and be in his element. That to me, that makes it all worth it, right? So
that's it. Yeah. Man, I can see the love in y'all's eyes. This has been such a beautiful conversation.
I know.
Oh man, thank y'all for the gems. This has been amazing. Thank you for your transparency. I guarantee you helped a lot of people because you helped us. So we got some stuff out of this right here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for all you guys do in the community. And, you know, just by, you guys might not know this, but us sitting back, watching behind the scenes of what you guys are doing big things, and we applaud you guys.
Yes.
I appreciate it. That means a lot, Frank. Tommy, thank you so much. That means a lot. Well, all right, y'all. That was Wealth Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, hit the rewind button if you want the number and the website.
That's right.
All right, and they'll get you all the way together. But thank y'all for coming out. God bless you. Y'all have a great night.
See you guys. Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.